Hi everyone, it's Amy. Now last time we spoke about what issues are and how what they simply are unresolved conflicts. And these unresolved conflicts can be traced back to a cause. In other words, something that may have happened in your life to cause you to have the issue and perhaps the irrational belief attached to it. All right, so you have to go back to some of the stages in your life to understand when these issues were born. All of the stages in your life present some kind of crisis, and learning to cope with each crisis prepares you for the next stage in your life and for the next crisis that may come along. Now, these crises do not happen on some kind of schedule, and they happen throughout your life. And you can't necessarily completely deal with each crisis at each stage in your life. That would be great if we could, but some of these crises come when you're a very little thing. So when you can't deal with them properly, or you can't deal with them at all, we learn some kind of coping skills to meet your needs in your life, even in the face of these crises. So I'm going to go through these 8 stages, which are Erikson's 8 stages of development, and talk about each stage of your life. Now, the first stage is trust versus mistrust. And this is a time in your life when trust begins, from infancy to 18 months old. In order to develop trust, you have to understand that some things and some people can be depended on. For example, an infant who wants warmth and love and nourishment will learn to trust that they will get these things. All right? And this may translate later into trusting friends or a spouse or a partner or whomever. All right. Now, of course, if these needs are not met, then that's when mistrust begins to set in and carries on later through life. Stage 2 is autonomy versus shame and doubt. This is when you're about from 18 months old to about 3 years old. And at this stage, you're starting to learn that you can accomplish certain things. And from that, you get a sense of self-worth and self-confidence. Your identity is beginning to form. Now, if you are constantly restricted or constantly punished during this time, shame and guilt are likely the result. Now, stage 3 is initiative versus guilt. And this is from about age 3 to about age 6. And during this time, children have active imaginations and they're very eager to learn. And if a child learns to take initiative and explore and learn, then this will be very evident later in life. They'll feel more confident in relationships, in pursuing career objectives, etc. Now, those who are restricted and punished during this period in their lives, again, are likely to feel some guilt. All right, stage 4 is called industry versus inferiority. And this happens between approximately ages 6 to 12 during young school age. During this time, children really need to feel productive and succeed in activities. A major focus of their life is in school. Mastering academic skills is very important during this stage. They start comparing themselves to their peers also. So children who experience failure in school or in relationships in school during this time in their life may develop some sense of inferiority. Now that brings us to stage 5. And stage 5 is identity versus role confusion. Now this is after age 12 during adolescence. During this time, young people start to explore and start to establish an identity. This is a transition period from childhood to adulthood. And they see where they fit into this whole big world. Are they a sibling? Are they a child? Are they a student? Where are they religiously? How about ethnically? All of these different roles that they have. And they try and integrate these roles and start to develop some self-identity. Some people who are unable to do this, they can't integrate all these roles that they have, and they have difficulty with maybe what they see as conflicting roles in their life. They are said to be suffering from role confusion, and they might be unclear or uncertain about their identity. All right, stage 6 is intimacy versus isolation. And this is a time in young adulthood. And it includes the ability to share with and give to another person without being afraid that you're sacrificing your own identity. People who do not attain intimacy are likely to suffer isolation. In your own life, examine issues with sexual prowess and the idea that sex equals love. It may have happened or started to happen during this period in your life. Now, stage 7 is generativity versus stagnation. This is a time in your life where you are mature, or hopefully mature, and you may be parenting during this time in your life. During this time, people are concerned with helping or producing for or guiding the next generation. In other words, generativity is unselfish, thinking about what you can give back to society. And it doesn't necessarily mean procreating your own children. You're thinking more about the things that you do and how it will benefit the future. If you lack generativity, then you may be self-absorbed and only focus on what your concerns are and what your needs are, in which case you're stagnant and fixed and lacking some progress and productivity. All right, the last one is ego integrity versus despair. And this is a time of old age, which we will hopefully all reach. During this time, people tend to look back and reflect on their lives. If they appreciated their life and they are content with their accomplishments, they are said to have ego integrity. This is the ultimate form of identity integration. People who have this enjoy a sense of peace and accept the fact that their life will soon be over. Others who have failed to cope successfully with the crises that they have had in their life, and they have regrets about their life, will experience despair in their old age. Now, I'm going to post a graph of all these stages on Facebook and on Instagram and Twitter so that you can see it a little more clearly. And I want you to think about a few things as we finish this module. What are your 5 most important needs? What are your issues? What are some irrational beliefs that you have? And then I want you to make a connection with all of these and these developmental stages that I just gave you, and see, where did your issues begin? At what developmental stage in your life? And at what stage are you right now? All right? Next time, we're going to start a new module, and I'm going to start discussing healthy sexuality. Until then, please subscribe to this channel. Please feel free to get in touch with me on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. I am open to all your questions, comments, suggestions, and even some very loving and friendly criticism. And until then, please be well.